All right, let's try this again. So like I was saying, it's not necessarily what you say, it's how you say it, okay? Going back to the concept of pressure on, pressure off. You got the two options there, right? You have pleasant versus unpleasant, yes versus no, right versus wrong, I like that versus I do not like that, okay? Pressure on, when you're talking tone, pressure on is a negative tone. Think a manly voice, a firm tone, something that says mommy means it, okay? Because we all know that tone, and when we hear that tone, we know that we better do whatever it is that they want us to do, okay? That's your negative tone, that's pressure on, okay? And negative tone is oftentimes paired with a physical correction. That's your leash pop, okay? Pressure off is a positive tone. Let's go back to that for a second, actually, with an example. So your negative tone paired with a physical correction, for example, jumping. So if the dog jumped up, you would no jump. You know, that would be a leash pop with a no jump, okay? The tone and the physical, you know, together. So that's your negative tone, your negative pressure. So pressure off is a positive tone. You're gonna think higher pitch, excited, girly, something encouraging, okay? That's the pressure off. There's no pressure there. It's a positive tone. And the positive tone is often paired with petting, physical touch, extra verbal reinforcement. You know, if you were really excited about whatever it was that your dog was giving you, that's a good, handsome boy, you know, dragging it out, you know, a little bit more. What a good job. You are such a good, handsome boy. Something excessive. But your dog enjoys that tone and enjoys that energy. Don't overdo it though. You know, some dogs, again, like there's too much talking in dog training, you know, make sure that you're not overdoing it and kind of crossing the line where it's like, okay, like you can stop talking now. But for some dogs too, like that sets them off, you know, they get set off by that physical touch or too much excitement, you know, in your tone. You know, if you have someone coming up to you, you know, kids running up and you've got your dog and they're like, you know, some dogs really fly off the handle with that. So with too much physical touch or too much excitement in your tone, you know, you need to switch to something neutral if that's the case. And a neutral tone has no emotion. Okay, it's simple, it's to the point. Things like yes, good sit, good stay, good leave it. Letting the dog know that they're on track, but without any emotion to it. So with like an overly excited dog, tone it down a notch. You get it? Make it easier for them to exceed, guys. I'm all for helping a dog out. So if your dog is set off by an overly, you know, excited tone, tone it down a notch. And if your dog, you know, same thing with the negative. If your dog cowers, you know, with a super negative tone, like, no, you know, you need to bump the level up a little bit and be able to kind of work with your dog and what it is that you're giving, what it is that they are giving you, okay? So read their body language, read their cues, you know, and adjust yourself to that as needed, okay, within reason. So working together, let's give you an example again, like with that jumping, okay? With your permission, your dog is saying hello to a neighbor. Okay, and obviously we don't want him jumping. So let's say all 4 paws are on the floor. It's a good choice. He's not jumping. Yes, we do want this sit, but we'll work our way to that, especially in the beginning. For now though, all 4 on the floor gets the positive. Okay, the pressure is off. Make sure your leash is not tight when you're doing exercises like this. So frequently, you know, we see people want to tighten up on that leash, you know, especially when it comes to jumping because they're afraid, you know, that the dog is going to jump. But we don't want the dog having that nice tight leash and getting rewarded at the same time. They're going to learn to blow you off because they're getting their praise. They're getting the petting from the people and they're learning to ignore the pressure of the leash when we have taught them the concept of pressure on, pressure off. So now you don't want to do that. You want to make sure you have a nice loose leash when they're saying hello. The leash only goes tight when you are communicating, stop what you're doing, make a change to your behavior, okay? So like I said, for now, all 4 on the floor gets the positive, the pressure is off. Make sure the leash is not tight. The pressure off when the dog is making good choices, okay? Like I said, now, let's pretend your dog starts getting a little wiggly. We're not so confident that the dog won't give in to the temptation and jump up at this point. Let the dog know, give your dog a neutral tone, no jumping, to help them out while they are interacting with this neighbor that they're saying hello to. You aren't correcting with any physical pressure on, you're just guiding them with a neutral tone. No jumping, good job, no jumping, you're on track. There's not much emotion to that. You're just helping them succeed. Let them know that you're paying attention. Let them know that you're there and help them through it, because a lot of times you'll help your dog avoid making a mistake just by giving them that neutral tone and that directive of no jumping. Just a reminder, okay? I don't want you, again, standing there the whole time, no jump, no jump, no jump, no jump. Just give it to him when he needs it, okay? If you're not feeling confident at all, your dog should not be saying hello to the neighbor. Like, if you feel like, I don't really know what he's gonna do here and I feel like I need to repeat, get out of there. Ignore the person. Use it as a leave it, a leave it command, and get away from there. You're not ready for that yet, okay? Just so you know, like, your dog doesn't have to say hello to everyone, but when you are saying hello, make sure that you are effective in your practice with the dog, okay? But again, when you're letting the dog know with that neutral tone, because he's got all four on the floor, no jumping to help him out, you aren't correcting with any physical pressure on. You're only guiding him with the neutral tone. It's not positive, it's not negative. It's like a matter of fact type of tone. It's directional. Doing this, like I said, will oftentimes help your dog continue to make the right decision. Now, your dog is doing great. You're happy with his decision making. Let him know. That's a good boy, no jumping. I'm proud of you. Again, don't overdo it, but if you're feeling good, let your dog know, okay? That is what they're working for. They're working to avoid the correction. They're working to please you, okay? So if you're happy with what your dog is doing, the decisions that he's making, let him know. That's a good boy, no jumping, good, leave it, no jump, that's great. I've got a nice positive tone to my commands, okay? It doesn't all have to be no jump, sit, stay, leave it. It could be a good sit, good stay, good leave it, good boy, no jumping. So proud of you. Be, open to giving your dog that positive energy, because so often it's just natural for us to just focus on the negative, right? So when your dog's doing a good job, please let him know, okay? Now let's say you aren't so sure, what your dog is going to do, and you're guiding with that neutral tone, no jumping, and of course, if you're not feeling confident, like I said before, get him out of there. But let's say that you miss a step or you do that, and anyway, your dog jumps, okay? So guide with that neutral tone, no jump, but if the dog jumps up, that is pressure on with a physical correction. That's your leash pull, and the negative tone, no jump, paired with it. So it's a no jump, all right? So by using that tone, not only you're positive, you're negative, you're neutral. By using tone, not only can you communicate effectively with your dog, but you can help them to make the right choices in order to avoid correction altogether. And that is relationship building, okay? You and your dog, this is very important, you and your dog are a team. Work together, set him up to succeed. Don't wait for him to fail. Be a good leader. And be a good pack leader and good alpha for your dog, okay? And that relationship building is very important. That's what, dog training is really based around, all of that, okay? So with all of that being said, I do want to mention a few things, all right? Remember that the dog has learned that he is in control of the pressure, okay, of the correction. His behavior turns it on, his behavior turns it off. Also remember from earlier that dogs work to better their own situation. Their drive and their eagerness to better their own situation, no matter what that is, when paired with the clear line of communication that you've established through training, helps them to make the right decision. And when they make the right decision, they can avoid pressure, your correction, altogether. And that is what we want from our dogs. Something so beautiful is to see your dog actually thinking, and to see your dog intentionally make the proper choice in order to avoid the correction. It is so beautiful, and it's my favorite part of what I do is when it clicks and the dogs are like, oh, okay, I get it now, like, that doesn't have to happen, I can just do this, and you like that, and we're good, so beautiful. But this also brings up a good point. So when this happens, the dog, say the dog does an automatic sit without, you come to a stop and the dog sits, doesn't need anything from you, boom, that butt is on the ground, right? when this happens, we are so thrilled, that now we give the dog all kinds of praise, positive tone, all that wonderful energy, and that is your dog's reward. This is great, right? However, this may set them off, and now all of a sudden your positive is interrupted by the negative. And that's okay. Do that. Make sure that you are, switching paces quickly like that when you need to, because your dog needs to learn that your praise can absolutely be interrupted because of his negative behavior, turning that reward, that praise, into a consequence just like that. Okay. In the beginning, the consequence will be pressure on, a correction paired with a firm no. Okay. But eventually you will get to the point where it can just be a firm no, to get the dog on track, but no correction is needed. That's the progression of your training. All right. Training is a lifestyle. Okay. And it's, something that you do, but you're not always going to have to rely on, corrections and everything like that when it's done properly. Okay. Another thing, remember when I said earlier that there's too much talking in dog training? When it comes to praising the dog, this is another area that people find themselves in a little bit of trouble. While I want you to transfer positivity and praise, via tone and verbal reinforcement, you're good boys, you're good dog, good down, good stay, good leave it, whatever it may be, I do not want you to overdo it. And some people fall into this really bad habit, again, of repeating, constantly giving feedback to their dog, okay, or directions to their dog. We don't want to repeat ourselves when we give a command, and we don't want to repeat ourselves when praising with positive or neutral tone either. So, for example, the stay command, okay, some people have a tendency to repeat. They will put their dog in a stay, and as they walk around the dog, working the stay command, they feel like they have to constantly engage with their dog. Okay, they constantly have to engage with their dog. So as they practice the stay, they're talking to the dog constantly. Stay, 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 good stay, stay, that's a good stay. Stop it. What if you wanted to have a conversation with your neighbor while practicing this stay command? How are you going to do that if you're too busy reminding the dog to constantly stay? Aside from building a dog that now needs constant engagement with you in order to successfully complete an exercise like this, that constant repeating becomes noise, okay, which is what it starts out as too. Sit, that means nothing to the dog, okay? Just becomes noise, blah, 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 blah. That's all they hear. So with all that repeating, you've removed all that purpose from the command, and without even realizing it, you have let the dog know that you are not fully confident in handling him in any situation that comes your way. Okay, you must be confident. Speaking of confidence, let's talk about body language. Consistency, repetition, patience, all things that will make you successful in this change, this change of lifestyle with your dog now that you've gone through the training. There's one more thing that is required for your success. And if you can't guess what that is, my friend, it is confidence. And like I said, it is so, so, so important. The work we do, teaching you how to work with your dog and making you practice it like it's your job. It's not only to get you on the same page with your dog and get you guys on that even playing field, that same wavelength, speak the same language, right? That practice is for your confidence, okay? You need to be a confident dog handler if you're going to lead your pack, okay? And that is going to come through practice. When holding the leash and preparing for your walk and your work with the dog, you'll stand tall, roll your shoulders back, spine elongated, a deep breath, taken, relax your arms, hold the leash, take another deep breath, and you're ready to begin moving forward with your dog. When you're holding your leash, it's going to be a nice overhand grip of your left hand down at your side, relaxed arms. Again, take another deep breath and get ready to move forward with your dog. So we're going to get to that. Before we get to that, let's review your training equipment and the body mechanics of your correction and kind of moving with your dog in order to, prepare you for that before we get started.